this is your bird. I know. I'm so happy.
Best day ever is right. Oh my gosh.
I'm Michael Sazin, the Parrot Wizard, and I'm in Casa Grande, Arizona at Ginger's Parrot Rescue. This is Ginger, and we have the most amazing story to share with you on this third and final episode of Parrot Catchers, where we were called in. Ginger was called about a found Galah. On the first episode, I just arrived here, and this bird was found. They described it as a gray parrot with a red mane, and we didn't know what that meant, but we had them send a picture, and as soon as we saw it, it was like Rose Breasted Cockatoo Galah, and knew we had to go out there and help save this bird. And that bird was brought into the vet clinic, taken care of by the vet. It was very, very emaciated and in bad shape. And once the bird was stabilized, the next issue was getting in touch with the bird's rightful owner. That was a bit of a wild goose chase. So many calls.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I was watching Ginger fielding calls over and over again. She was on the phone nonstop. So the second video in the series showed Ginger fielding the calls. Almost everything was on the phone because she was just getting so many people talking to her, asking questions, had to describe the bird and figure it out. And every time she would meet an owner that thought that lost a Galah and thought this could be theirs, it just didn't feel right.
No, not at all. You could just tell. I mean, it was really obvious, especially by the body language of the bird. And the people thought for sure it was theirs at first. And if you look at those videos, you'll see right away what we're talking about, because the bird backs away in one of the videos with one of the prospective owners and potential people who thought that was their bird. The bird actually was moving away and trying to get in a fearful manner all the way in the back of the cage, away from this person. And that's when she realized too, she's like, yeah, this is just not my bird. And it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking to watch that, to see these poor people who were heartbroken, looking and hoping and wishing and praying this was their bird, to realize that it wasn't. It was really pretty traumatic to see.
That's pretty shocking that so many different people, within
God,
a small radius, all lost the same kind of bird.
Yeah. And a rare bird, that.
Yeah, rare one, so that was pretty surprising.
Yeah.
But then the most crazy, miraculous, unexpected thing happened.
Incredible. So I get this phone call from a woman who was just extremely excited, could not wait to talk to me, was already in her car going to pick up her son from school because she was convinced this was her bird. And so she was talking to me on the phone while she was driving, telling me that, you know, the whole story about her bird, how it got lost, how far away it was, where did we find this one? And she was just convinced by looking at the picture of him that it was her bird, which was kind of extraordinary right there. But then when I asked her the question of, well, when did you lose your bird? And she told me it was almost 2 years ago, my hopes kind of went down at first. I'm thinking, okay, and I even told her, I said, you're welcome to come out and meet him and see if it's your bird, but I have to tell you that after 2 years, I'm not really sure, but let's try, let's just see. So she came out, she picked up her son from school because the bird was actually her son's. So this was an interesting part of the puzzle too, because here this child had grown into a young man. So the videos of him with this bird from 2 years ago, he has shot up like 5 inches. This kid was huge compared to what he was in the videos she showed us of him interacting with this bird. But there were some things that were just right on target. Like this bird had watched this child as he was learning how to play the harp. He plays a harp, you know, with the kind that stand up and, you know, the strings and the whole bit. And the bird would sit and watch him play the harp. So she was playing videos of him playing the harp, and you could see the bird was kind of interested in that. And I thought, well, that's kind of encouraging. The birds are interested in music, so I didn't really think much of that. But then I watched how they interacted more and more, and some of the things that they talked about him doing. And he responded more to the mom's voice, the bird did, because I think she hadn't changed. You know, we don't grow when we're adults, we are what we are, and she hadn't changed her hairstyle or hair color or anything. She was the same as she looked 2 years ago. So he recognized her, and it became apparent that he did, and when she would go up to the cage, he came right up to her face, looked right at her in the eye, and was giving her kisses. And it was amazing to see that. And we kind of looked at each other and went, yeah, we might think this might be it, but let's keep watching, because we let them interact for a very long time. And the bird just kept warming up more and more, and then started warming up to the boy. So as we watched, we could see this transition happening. And she was actually able to get the bird to step up, come out of the cage, sit on her shoulder, and we were just amazed, because this is not what we thought. After we had gone through the experiences with these two people who had come out to think, you know, okay, this is maybe my bird, and all of the things that were happening, we thought, well, maybe this is a wild escaped aviary bird. Maybe it's a former breeder that escaped and just isn't a pet, and doesn't know what people are, and doesn't know how to interact with people, and doesn't understand step up, and you know, you start to think these things. But then we saw this, and it was like, no way, we know, this is definitely gonna happen. This is their bird. And by the interaction that I'm seeing, I'm feeling pretty comfortable too, because this bird, I will tell you, the other people who have come to meet him, has retreated every time. Retreated to the back of the cage in kind of a fearful manner, and I'm not seeing that at all. So I'm thinking that the likelihood is this is your bird. That's really what I'm thinking. And if you guys think the same thing, then let's talk about getting him home.
Yay. Okay.
And realize that he has been gone a long time. It's gonna take more time for him to get used to and fall back into the patterns. But I'm hoping that, you know, he gets back home, he starts to recognize his cage again, he recognizes the people in the home, the routine of the home, and he just comes right back to it. Yes, this is very good interaction. See, he has not done that with anyone else.
No,
not even
You don't know this
close.
till your journey.
Yes. And then everything after that just kept on piling up to the point where you knew this was definitely their bird. They go out and get the carrier that they had for the bird because they didn't get rid of it. So they had the carrier, the bird steps in the carrier, sits right on the same perch he always sat on before, which was amazing. He was totally calm in the carrier. He wasn't the least bit stressed that we could tell. He wasn't upset at all. He just sat there like, okay, well, I guess we're going somewhere. And he was totally fine with it, which was amazing. The food information they gave us was immediately something we knew about too, because this bird only liked Supreme pellets. Even at the vet clinic, he wasn't eating very well. And when I got him back here to the rescue, I thought, okay, I'll try Supreme pellets. And he dove in and ate a whole bowl upon his first day here. So one of the things I asked them is, what does your bird like? Oh, he loves Supreme Fruity Blend, and he really likes the purple ones. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is definitely this bird.
This was really helpful because, mind you, don't forget, this bird came without a band. Had no leg band, no way to identify, no like obvious markings that he has a different colored feather somewhere or something obvious that you don't
And he didn't know
buy.
how to talk.
Didn't know how to talk. There was just no obvious thing that set this Galah apart from a dozen others.
Yes.
But behavior was the behavior that really gave it away. But we had to bring that behavior out of the bird to be able to find out. So this bird really had to. It wasn't the owner that was going to identify the bird. It was the bird that was going to identify the owner.
And that's exactly what happened. That was what the coolest thing was, because the bird did that for us to make us feel comfortable and confident that was exactly what was happening. Because he was just like going, oh yeah, I remember this stuff. I remember how to give kisses. I remember your voice. I remember that harp sound. And I mean, it was just all this stuff was starting to come back. And the interesting part is, the bird doesn't talk. He never was taught to talk by these people. He was young when he escaped. So then we started finding out how old he was. And that was kind of in line with what we were thinking too. Because he escaped, unfortunately, by another child in the house who had opened a window. It happens. Mistakes happen a lot, unfortunately. But they were just teaching this bird how to talk, and he was only with them a few months. And so he still had some of those things that he learned from them about the kisses and scratching the cheek. That was the other cool thing. The son scratched the cheek and the bird leaned into him. You don't see that. You know, it's not happening on a bird that's not tame. The one we saw, the one that wasn't looking at anybody else but was searching for the one that he could connect with. So yeah, it was incredible, absolutely incredible.
So one thing we had to mention to them is that, you know, this bird, now being close to 3 years old, lost around 1 year old, gone for 2 years, possibly flying outside for 2 years, is not the same bird for many reasons. One is because it's been out, it hasn't been in their home.
Right.
The other thing is, if this bird had been in their home for the last 3 years, it's grown up. It's not the same bird it was when it was lost as a baby. So while they were here, I gave them a signed copy of my book, The Parrot Wizard's Guide to Well-Behaved Parrots, so that they can learn how to rekindle the relationship that they might have had with it as a baby, so that they can get it to be comfortable and step up and get the right things going to get this bird to rekindle and bring back what they've had. Obviously the bird recognized them, but to get the behavior to come back, you know, they use a little bit of training and behavioral advice.
So what was really fascinating is to get the picture from these people when I just wrote to them on Facebook and said, how is he doing? Because I wanted to know. He'd only been home for a few hours. The photo I got was amazing. It was just so cool. So here's this picture of this young man laying on the floor in his bedroom in front of the bird cage that they have held on to for 2 years, hoping to get this bird back, praying to get this bird back. Sitting on the perch in the same place he used to sit all the time, watching this young man on the floor reading his book, and it was like he had never left. Only thing different, the kid grew up. He's now a young man. So
and the bird grew up too.
And the bird grew up. So now they're going to have to learn how to build a new relationship, and how perfect. How perfect. They have this book now that's going to help them reunite, and I'm so excited about this. I just couldn't be happier for them. So when she called me, what I found fascinating too about the fact that the length of time was so long is she said she's been periodically checking over this 2-year period social media, just looking and hoping and wishing. So she had just checked and found this ad that we put out, the videos we put out about this found Galah, Rose Breasted Cockatoo, and thought, I'll take a chance, looked at it, and it was just amazing how it happened after that. Just amazing.
This is why it's super, super important if you ever lose a parrot to just never, ever, ever give up. I mean, it is so, so difficult to go through having a parrot fly away. I mean, I've been through that with Truman, my Cape parrot, and you know, for 2-3 days straight, looking for him, not giving up, putting every ounce of effort into trying to find him. And luckily, I found him quickly, but even if, you know, your strategy must get adjusted as time goes on. In the beginning, just look for the bird. Don't even waste time don't go online. If you lost your bird 5 minutes ago, don't go online talking about it. Go look for the bird.
Right.
But as time goes on, you need to shift your strategy because they can fly, they go further and further away. You have to expand. So after maybe a day or two goes by, you start posting flyers, start posting online. And, you know, if a week goes by, a month goes by, physically searching might not be as effective because the radius expands so much. If you haven't found, there's no sightings by then, you might not find it in your neighborhood. But getting the word out on social media and looking at, you know, found bird ads, looking at Parrots 911, Craigslist ads, maybe someone found a bird, willing to sell it. Hey, I found a bird, I'm selling it.
Happens a lot.
You might get lucky like that. So as we saw in this case, miracles really do happen. A parrot could be lost for a day, a week, a month, a year, years, and still find its way home and be reunited with its owner. So if you ever do lose a pet, you know, do not give up. It's always possible. We've heard some really crazy stories other times, and this one we're just shocked that it happened like this. But it's really wonderful to have such an ending.
Absolutely, absolutely. You hear about it and you don't believe it until you're part of it. We were a part of this one, and it was amazing.
Thank you for watching. I hope to bring you plenty more exciting, inspirational, wonderful videos like this. You can browse the full collection of videos at parrotwizard.com/videos.